hear me okay? Actually, let me see here. Just trying to find the best light. We're just getting into sunset hour. Actually, now I can't see. Okay, now we're gonna go back here. Let me know if it is okay with sound, because I'm a little bit worried today. Not only is everybody out partying because it's Saturday, but also it's super windy, so I hope the sound is going to be okay in the live stream. And just off the bat, want to say a very big thank you for everyone who already sent in super chats. Thank you to Daryl, Jim, and Harriet. I see one. Oh, it is windy. Oh no. Thank you so much to Brianna. Love and prayers for my lovely Alina. Thank you so much, beauty. Thank you so much to Raphael. Hi, Alina. Just want to say that we support you no matter what decision you take. Our prayers are with Ukraine. Hope your family is fine. Also hope you have people supporting you here in Brazil. Thank you so much, Raphael. I really appreciate it. Just in general, off the bat, I really want to say a big thank you to everybody who has messaged me in this, well, let's just put it bluntly, terrible week. There's really, you know, not enough words in the English dictionary to sum up what this week has been like for the citizens of Ukraine, for anybody who has family there, for anybody who has half a heart and empathy. It has just been a terrible week, so thank you to everyone who has messaged me asking about my family. Just a big truck coming by. I'll give you guys an update in a sec here. So my family is currently safe, which I am so very grateful for. As I mentioned in my video, at this point in time, my uncle and aunt have decided to stay in Kiev, and then my cousin Misha and Nastya are out west in Lviv. So that is where everybody is at. Of course, I would have liked if my uncle and aunt would have went to Lviv as well, but at the same time I kind of understand them wanting to stay, you know, with the apartment, and they do have, you know, a bunker underneath the apartment building, so that is good. And I'm just hoping that things can de-escalate before, you know, even more severe violence happens, as it has been this week. Just gonna look through your comments here, guys. Thank you to everybody who has come out today. We've already got over 200 people in here. As always, let me know where you are from and what time it is, because today I'm vlogging at a, I guess, unusual time for me. It's about 5 o'clock here in Buzios, so this is not my usual vlogging time, so to say. Thank you for coming out, David. We've got Jeff from the UK, Irvin, got Cliff, Steve. Hello to everybody. Oh, we got John. Thanks for coming out. Oh, we got people from all around the world. Finland, Thomas from Canada, Steve G from North Carolina, Hi from Vancouver, amazing. Alfonso from Colombia, lovely, fantastic. All right, guys, well, obviously I will be chatting about what's going on in Ukraine as the stream, you know, goes on. You guys can ask me any questions you have, but obviously I'm going to show you where I am right now, which is Buzios. And actually, as I tell you guys about it, let me flip the camera and I'll give you guys a really nice view. So this is a, I don't know whether to call it beach town or beach city, because the population is about 40,000. So obviously that's a fairly big place. I guess it's a city, but because it is more of a relaxed vacation sort of place, you know, beach town is the term that kind of comes up, because it is actually quite a spread out sort of area. Where I'll be taking you guys today is very close to the most central part of the city, but there's definitely a whole bunch of you know, different areas where they have hotels. There's over 20 cute kid. There's over 20 beaches here in Buzios, and it's basically a peninsula that has only one road in and out. It's also about 3 hours away from Rio de Janeiro. It's still in like the Rio de Janeiro province or state, whatever they call them here. But yeah, it's a really easy, you know, even day trip, you could say. You could come here for a day trip if you got up really early and drove from Rio, but a lot of people usually come for at least a weekend, because there are like lots of nice condos, as you guys can see, and some really fancy hotels, lots of fantastic restaurants and shopping here as well. Just want to say a big thank you to View from Lookout. Thank you for the super chat. If you guys have been following me, let me just adjust my camera here. If you guys have been following me on Instagram, you'll know that before, oh no, my internet went out. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Hopefully you'll have, Jesus, a strong connection here. Is it back? All right. So yeah, as I was saying, it's close to Arraial do Cabo, where I was, you know, this whole past week when all the crazy stuff unfolded. And since I have, I guess I should say, I have decided to continue on with my trip. This was the secondary sort of destination that I wanted to go to. So I'll be here for about 5 days before going back to Rio, kind of regrouping, and then catching a flight to my next destination, because here in Buzios they do have like a little airport, but there's not a lot of flights that go all over the country, so you basically have to go back to Rio to fly out to somewhere else. So that is my plan at this point, because after just thinking it through, I really just, you know, decided that while of course I'd love to be near my mom during this crazy time, me sitting in Canada doesn't really change the situation. It would be, you know, more expensive for me to do content there, and I already have tickets that I booked to go to Canada for June 1st from Mexico. So I'd basically be forfeiting all those tickets because the whole itinerary would change. So I just thought that would be a waste in this point in time, when ideally all the money I can spare I will be sending, you know, to my family in Ukraine at this point. And how I make money is this travel channel. So I just figured that I'm gonna try my best to stay in touch with my family, both in Ukraine and, you know, my mom and dad here in Canada, who are obviously very, you know, upset about this whole situation. And I'm just going to try my best to support them in any way I can. So that's an update on that. Want to say a big thank you to SFC Paul. Alina, I am praying for you, and glad to hear that your family is safe in Ukraine. Glad that you have decided to stay in Brazil. Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, I mean, I say that that's where I'm at right now. Heaven forbid, you know, something worse happens. I don't know, maybe I would change my mind, but at this point in time, I feel like me continuing on with my work, you know, making money to support my family is kind of the most I can do. So that is what I'm doing. That is why I am here, showing you guys beautiful Buzios. So, oh, I missed a very big super chat from Jim Ross. Thank you so much, Jim. I still have power, so want to get this to you just in case. Your eyes skyward and you alone on a beach in a blue bathing suit. You could be an inspirational shot or just a great shot. I use you as my primary source for Ukrainian updates and Alina updates. Thank you very much, Jim. Yeah, for anybody who actually wants, like, you know, more Ukrainian updates, follow me on Instagram, because that's where I'm primarily going to post you know, information on those topics. It's just at Alina McLeod. Here on YouTube is primarily going to be just my regular travel content, because I'm technically 3 videos behind right now. I still have videos that I filmed in Rio when my mom was visiting, and the content that I'm shooting here. So my channel will kind of be my regular content, and if you want more Ukrainian updates, then follow me on Instagram. Alright, it is blinding here, guys, so I'm gonna flip the camera and give you a view of this beautiful boardwalk that they have here, which I have thoroughly enjoyed running on in the mornings. All these fishing boats sitting out here as well. And originally, from my understanding, Buzios was a very quiet, much smaller fishing village. And it was in the 1960s when the French actress Brigitte Bardot came to visit, because apparently she was getting, like, you know, hounded by the paparazzi in Rio. So she found this little, you know, peninsula village, fell in love with it, told all her friends about it, and then this place just blew up in popularity, especially with celebrities. So as we go along, there's actually a statue made in her honor. Where we just passed is actually called Orla Bardot, which is kind of like a water inlet named after her. So she's kind of a famous face of this place, where Mick Jagger and Madonna have all came here. Lots of celebrities have visited Buzios, and it is very much an one sec here, guys. It is very much like an affluent sort of place to visit in Brazil. You can definitely tell, you know, just by the way people dress here, the fact that everybody has their iPhones out, which is why I felt overall fine to you know, vlog here, especially in the downtown part. It feels, anyway, very, very safe. There are also some police patrolling, and overall I just say it's a very relaxed, really friendly sort of place. So if you're thinking of coming to Brazil and want a really relaxed place where you don't have to worry so much about safety, you know, compared to Rio, this would be a great option. Just gonna read your comments here while I'm in the shade. Oh, my friend Ryan's here. Thank you for coming out. I truly do appreciate all the support I have gotten from all my friends in this crazy time. And thank you guys, you know, just reading your comments here of supporting my choice. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I've had a few people like ask me, well, why don't you do, you know, content just on, you know, Ukraine and the whole situation? You know, there are a lot of, you know, of my contemporaries, people kind of, you know, who are travel vloggers as well, and they're doing just straight like Ukraine content. I mean, I could do that, but first of all, I'm not actually, you know, on the ground. Sure, I have, you know, my family there, but it's still not the same as actually being there. So I think there's a lot of other much better in-depth channels to follow on that topic that are actually, you know, there at this time, that are Ukrainians or, you know, expats that are still, you know, in Ukraine at this time or near the border or something. So I just feel like they would have more information than I would. And primarily why I don't really want to do it is because, like, it's emotionally not something I think I can handle at this time. Like, I'm just barely holding it together, you know, doing what I'm doing here, happy-go-lucky travel videos. If I had to have all of my work content be the terrible things that happened that day and the war in Ukraine, on top of, you know, talking with my family every day, every morning, like, it would just, put me in a very depressive state. So I really don't want to do that, you know, with my channel, especially if I'm not actually there. So I hope you guys can understand that that's not me, you know, trying to, I don't know, not bring attention to this topic. I think so many people are already talking about it that just what I post, you know, on Instagram is all I'm willing to really do at this point, just for my own mental health. Thank you very much for the super chat, Jim. Really appreciate it. Bright sun today. I did not expect that it would be this hard to see. But yeah, still on the boardwalk. We will be in the main center of town in less than 10 minutes. But it's still super beautiful. And actually, right as we are here, look at this gorgeous hotel, I believe. Yeah, Handmade Hospitality Hotel, I think is what it says. But it's got this really beautiful terrace. I think there's a restaurant up there and greenery and palm trees, just super beautiful. There's lots of people, you know, that have second homes here probably, and just a really nice place to get away for the weekend. Carnival just ended, which is nice because it's not quite as busy. And here we have the famous Brigitte Bardot statue that I was telling you guys about. Let me just zoom to the other side and give you guys another look here. I've never had it this bad before. I don't know what's going on, guys, and why it's constantly going in and out. Here in Brazil, the internet is overall good. Though I will say, I don't know why they make it so complicated for foreigners to get a SIM card. There's literally only like a few locations in the major cities where foreigners can go with their passport and be able to get assigned a SIM card. I'm just gonna stand over here for a sec. In most of the other places, like even here in Buzios, I wanted to get a new one with more data and they wouldn't let me. Like you need to have like a Brazilian, you know, document or like have somebody sign off for you. And for some reason, you know, even people at the hotel don't always want to do that. I have no idea why they make it so complicated to get SIM cards here. But anyways, I hope my streaming issues are done with. And let me give you guys a nice view, because over here you can really see the different tiers of homes that they have here. Just absolutely like beautiful terraces that give you a whole view of the water here. Absolutely gorgeous. And then over here you can kind of see that they have terraces, lots of live music, and this place really comes alive in the evenings. Actually, one of the most famous nightclubs is right beside this place. It's called Privilege, I believe. That's the most famous nightclub here in the center of the city. And yeah, it's interesting because where I'll be taking you guys, it's kind of called Stone Street, Rua dos Pedras, I think it is in Portuguese. But it's like this beautiful cobblestone streets, and I come out here in the mornings when I go for my run at like 8-9 a.m. and everything is just closed. Like things here don't really open up until like 3 p.m. 4 p.m. So right now is really the time, you know, when things are starting. So I think people just eat their meals a lot later than we're used to in North America, and then stay out super late at night. Because I'm like, where do you even eat breakfast in this place? Because like everything is closed at 9 a.m. still. So if you come here, I'd probably recommend getting a hotel that serves breakfast, because in the center of the city I haven't found a lot of places that are open. So FYI. Lots of really good seafood restaurants here as well, since we are right near the ocean. Just gonna read your comments here, guys, as I give you this beautiful view. I'm not, you guys know how I feel. Don't know what's going on. Okay, there is a restaurant named after Bridget Bardot right here. La Bardot. Very nice, very chic French looking restaurant. Very nice. All right, we are making our way to the center of town. Just wanted to say a big thank you to Michael for the super chat. Hi Alina, how are you doing in this difficult time? I hope your family is safe. Thank you very much, Michael. I mean, I'm doing better, I guess, obviously, than I was a week ago, where I was just, you know, can't even function, can't even do anything. I'm just glued to my phone every minute of the day, messaging with my family. But, you know, now that it's been a week and it's kind of, you know, sinking in what's going on, what, you know, my family is going to do under different circumstances, and, you know, just trying to be optimistic, because what else can you do? You know, what else can you do at this point? So I'm trying my best to just be there for my family, to take care of myself, and what excess energy I have, I'm trying to put on actually enjoying where I am right now, because it is amazing. It's incredible to be here in Brazil, in this, you know, beautiful beach town, and having all these new fun experiences. You know, I don't want to regret not making the most of my time here as well. So that is where I am at. Let me flip here. So guys, we just got to the harbor. This is the main deck where people, oh, it is windy. Hope you guys can hear me all right. This is the main sort of harbor where boats come in and out. You can take a lot of boat tours that will take you to some different islands and beaches that you can't easily get to by car. There's, you know, a tour office right beside here. So it is fairly, you know, tourist friendly here. And what's interesting is that I guess over 50% of their, you know, foreign tourism here in Buzios is specifically from Argentina, which is interesting. So Spanish is, of course, widely spoken here as like a secondary sort of language, but they definitely speak more English here than they did in Arraial, because in Arraial it's almost like all Brazilians. So there, I was definitely using Google Translate a lot. Here in Buzios, still, of course, the majority of people probably don't know English, but some do. So it's been nice to be able to hear a little bit of English, because I do miss it. I was actually talking about this with a friend, and, you know, I'm going over 3 months now of being here in, you know, South America. And even though, of course, I want to learn, well, especially Spanish, and, you know, I'm trying to learn a little bit of Portuguese, but I've never been in a country where I really couldn't communicate really, you know, at all at a normal level with people for this long, and where they didn't speak, you know, English at all. Like Eastern Europe, definitely way more people speak English than they do here. So I'm just like, any little bit of English and being able to easily communicate with somebody has been like such a treat, because overall here in, you know, Colombia, my Spanish is like so choppy that you can't really have, you know, a full conversation. So just like a little taste of home to be able to speak any form of English. Thank you once again for the super chat, Jim Ross. Have a good meal on me and try to maintain as positive of an outlook on the events as you can. I think your mix of travels in Brazil and your info on the troubles in Europe. Please keep your spirits and mood positive and enjoy the life you are living. Very true. Thank you very much, Jim. And yeah, honestly, I was just, you know, this morning as I was going for my run and listening to a new audiobook, I was thinking, you know, about the fact that you know, you think back in the 90s or something, somehow it just seemed like much more simple times. You know, of course I was a kid and didn't have adult problems at that age, but I just feel like life was at a much slower pace than what we've been experiencing in the last 5 years especially. So, you know, who knows, it might get even freaking crazier from here. So, you know, I'm gonna enjoy it, you know, as difficult as it is to enjoy life right now and just be happy and be in the moment. I'm still gonna try, you know, because I'm not even gonna say, you know, what the worst case scenario is of what could happen, but I think it's very windy. Something just crashed. One second. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so who knows what's coming. Enjoy your life while you have it is the point I wanted to make. Thank you for the super chat, Jay. Alina, as a fellow Saskatchewanian YouTuber, have you done a video collaboration with Guelo60, aka the old drunk Canadian? Thank you. No, but I know who he is. He's a friend of my friend Alex from Reporterfy Media. They've done some collabs together, so I actually video chatted with him when I was visiting Alex and Yulia in Bangkok. So I know him, but not personally. So yeah, maybe I will meet him somewhere down the road. Seems like a nice guy. All right, guys, so we are in the Rua das Pedras, the Stone Street. They pronounce their R's as H's here. And this part of the city is actually my favorite because compared to Ahayal, there are such better amenities here, like the restaurants and the shops and like everything, you know, you could want if you're staying in the center of the city is fantastic. What Ahayal has that I'd say is better than Buzios is definitely beaches. The beaches, in my opinion, are much better in Ahayal, but the amenities and just the layout of the town is much better here in Buzios. So like right here we got a nice pizza place. There's a good burger place that I ate at last night. There's like really great Italian gelato places. There's a vegan Indian restaurant right there. So this is really, you know, a fantastic cosmopolitan sort of place to visit. And basically after 8 p.m. is when it will really come alive, where these streets will be totally full. All the restaurants will have their patios out. Everybody will be partying. So if you wanted kind of a beach town experience that also had nightlife, this would be a really great place for you to go here in Brazil. There's even a little church here, which is really nice. Malky asks, are you going to visit the northeast of Brazil? So at this point, I basically decided that I'm kind of going to do the central and southern part of Brazil for this trip, because it's just such a big country and plane tickets from place to place are honestly not that cheap, at least the places that I've been looking at. And you know, it takes a long time to go to so many different places in just the span of the couple months that I'm going to be here. So I figured I may as well kind of stay in a more concentrated area, go to the places I really want to go, which is mainly in the south of the country. And then, you know, in the future, I'd love to come back to Brazil and do more of the north, because I hear there are lots of really beautiful places there as well. But the ones that are more like safe for tourists, especially if you're traveling by yourself, most of those places are in the south. So just want to keep things, you know, as stress-free as possible for myself. So I'm going to stay in the more southern part of the country. So we're give you guys another view here of the streets. Oh, that place is one of my favorites. Maria Cafe. Amazing gelato, fantastic coffee. Highly recommend going there. And there's lots of really cool fashion stores here as well. It actually kind of reminded me of Cartagena in Colombia, which I also loved, that had all these like beautiful boutiques with a lot of like, well, local Colombian designers in that case. But here in Buzios, there's also a lot of really good Brazilian brands as well. So I've really loved the shopping here for anybody else who looks for a similar thing as me. Just gonna read your comments here, guys, as we go along. At the same time, I have to watch my feet because yesterday I fell. Actually, we'll tell you that story where, yeah, I was going for a run and I literally remember having the thought in my head, don't trip, Alina, because I was like looking down and it was really choppy, you know, stone blocks and stuff, and I kept saying to myself, don't trip, don't trip, don't trip. And then the second that I, you know, looked up again and thought everything was fine, I tripped. Literally like face planted forward, but thankfully somehow didn't scratch myself up that bad. But pretty embarrassing, especially when I thought that I was being careful. All right, guys, so there's some places here that you can kind of, oh, I'm breaking a photo shoot. One sec. We're gonna go take a look at the beach that they have over here. All behind this boardwalk, there's a very long beach that is probably one of the more popular ones in the city just because it's so close to the center of town. So I'll give you guys a view here in a sec. Take a look at that, guys. Super beautiful. But see, this is the thing, like it's a fairly nice beach, but it's super short, you know, like even if you go out there, it's still just not a lot of sand to really relax on. And you know, when it's like peak time during the day, it gets super crowded and there's not a lot of, you know, space. But like I said, there's like 20 beaches in Buzios, so there's other ones to choose from, but I just haven't been to any that totally blew my mind, if I'm being honest. After Arraial, which after Arraial, like none of these compare. If you guys saw the video that's titled "Considering Leaving Brazil," when I did like a vlog there and then went to Grand Beach, oh my god, like that's one of the most incredible beaches that I've ever been to in my life. So if I hadn't gone there and then just first came to Buzios, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know, the beaches are nice here, it's really great. But if you go to Arraial first and you go to the beaches there and then come here, it's just not the same. It doesn't compare. But like I said, what Buzios has that Arraial doesn't is this kind of street with fantastic restaurants, great shopping, nightlife, much easier to get around. There's also Uber here, which Arraial doesn't have. So, you know, you could technically, you know, do a day trip in between both. Like you could stay in Arraial when you wanted to be at the beach and then just come here at night for dinner or the nightlife. It just would be like an hour-long drive each way. Or do like I did and stay like 3 days in one location and then 3 days in another one, so you can have the best of both worlds. Oh, want to say a big thank you to Steven for the super chat. Do they have any interesting ice cream flavors, and are you going to the place with all the waterfalls? Thank you very much, Steven. Yes, I am going to the very famous Iguazu Falls, kind of it's, yeah, I guess it's not the most southern point of Brazil, but also in the south, and it's on the border there, and supposed to be some of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. So of course, can't miss that. We'll be going there probably in about 2-3 weeks time. And as for interesting ice cream flavors, I had a Kinder Egg one yesterday. I feel like that's kind of an interesting flavor. And then here they also have all the interesting fruit flavors, right? Like maracuya. Well, mango's not too out there. But yeah, lots of different fruit flavors that we probably wouldn't have in Canada. Don't think there's anything else that crazy. Yeah, that's all I can think of. But thank you for the super chat. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Nathalie. Thank you so much for such a generous super chat and all of your support in this time. I hope you're doing good. And Nathalie actually has a GoFundMe. I can't link it now, unfortunately, but her company is doing a GoFundMe for the Canadian Red Cross, which is helping in Ukraine. So even though I can't link it, just want to say thank you, Nathalie, for making a fundraiser as well and helping everybody there. Very much appreciated, and hope you're doing good. There was a question here that I wanted. Thank you so much for the lovely comments as well, Nathalie, just seeing it now. Yeah, Buzios is absolutely a beautiful place, and actually I just realized a comment that a lot of people had asked is the price, because this, like I said, is more of an affluent place to, you know, visit. It isn't exactly cheap, but on a whole, I will say Brazil so far, even though I've only been to you know, Rio de Janeiro, Arraial do Cabo, and now Buzios, those are the only places I visited, but it has been quite a bit more expensive than I was anticipating. I knew that it would be more expensive than Colombia, but because I'm also here, well, now at the tail end of Carnival, but before, when it was during Carnival, things were substantially more expensive than I was expecting. And Rio on a whole, like, people, you know, say that's probably the most expensive place in Brazil. So it has been a lot more money than I was expecting to pay. But here in Buzios, I'm currently in a nice, like, kind of guest house, I guess you could say, where I have my own room, but the bathroom is shared, and I am paying 45 Canadian, so I guess 40-ish, a little bit less than 40 American per night, but that includes breakfast. And I would say overall that's actually a really good price compared to the other things that I was seeing here. If you wanted, you know, let's say at least a 3-star hotel room, it'd basically be at least $100 a night. You know, it's not cheap. As for hostels here, I think you could probably get a bed for about $20 a night. Also more, you know, expensive than the usual places I visit, but that's kind of a snapshot of what you can expect in regular times, because this is regular times now that Carnival is done. But I was in Arraial during Carnival, and I was paying $35 for a hostel bed, and if I wanted a, like, hotel room or whatever during Carnival, it was at least $120. Almost everything was sold out. You know, people buy up rooms way ahead of time if they're going to choose a certain place for Carnival. And yeah, like, prices just double at least during that time period. So unless you're actually going to Carnival because you want to party, because you want to be there for the festivities, I would say just avoid it, because prices are, like, significantly more. Everywhere is crowded, and to be honest, that's not really my thing. So it was all right because Arraial is, like, more relaxed, but I can't imagine what Rio must have been like. Even with them canceling the parade and all that kind of stuff, it probably was still, like, crazy street parties everywhere. Just, you're not going to stop people from partying when they want to party. Oh, is there no sound? Somebody commented no sound. I hope that's not the case. No, they do not take Canadian Tire money, unfortunately. So Questo asks, does Brazil feel safer than Colombia? I think it's a bit too early to say, to be honest, because I am still not even, 1 month in, and most of it has just been between, the 3 places that I've been so far, Arraial and Buzios being some of the safest places to visit in the country. So of course here, overall it's fine. If you're staying in kind of the central part of the city, I would think you have absolutely nothing to worry about, even if you're staying out late at night. I know how in Colombia I said that, don't stay out late, even Medellin, I wouldn't do it. But here in like Buzios, you absolutely could stay out late if you're in the center of the city and, your hotel's close. You shouldn't have any problems. But Rio, one sec, that is a different story. Yes, if you are staying, like right on the boardwalk of Copacabana during the day when there's a lot of people there and you're not flashing your valuables, you'll probably be fine. But if you go to some of those side streets, there's literally a favela just off of Copacabana, you start wandering in those kinds of places, no, you don't want to do that. With Rio, I think you definitely need to do a lot of research about which areas are safe for especially foreigners and which ones are not. There, I wouldn't really probably go out at night either. I'm sure you could if you were, Ubering from place to place and you'd be fine, but I'm not a nightlife person and have no reason to do that, so I just stay home. But no, like Rio is on the same level of feeling not especially safe like the bigger cities in Colombia. But in Colombia as well, like it has places like Buzios which are totally safe, no problems. So it's too early to say which one I feel safer in. I'm just more aware now, after my incident, of things that I should watch out for, and doing much more research about the places that I visit. It's not like Eastern Europe where I would literally show up to places not even having researched and I knew that it would be fine and I never had any issues. But traveling here in South America, like, you definitely got to do your research about the places you visit, get some local advice, and just go to the places that are more tourist friendly, because unless you know the language, that also can be another issue if you're going off the beaten track. So those are my 2 cents on that. Thank you very much to Malta Network Resources. I'm glad you are okay. Great stream, hoping for peace. Me as well. Thank you. Yeah, it's a crazy, now that it's been a week since the invasion happened, it does scare me with, thinking about the fact that if this continues to go longer, will that mean that there's a sort of escalation in the kind of, warfare that they're using? Because obviously, Putin and the army and stuff like that, they're all, going to be losing, literally bleeding money. As we speak, they're probably bleeding billions of dollars, not only because of the sanctions, but because they have so much of their artillery, and war is very expensive. So to speed things up, I don't know if they're going to be using even more violent measures to try and get the resolution they want. I really hope that isn't the case, but it's just so hard to know what's going to happen when, in many ways, I don't think most people thought that it was going to be a full invasion like it is now. I think everybody was very on edge that something was going to happen, maybe the eastern part of the country, with Donetsk and Luhansk. I think most people thought that for sure that they were going to move in troops after they claimed those as independent. But I don't think most people anticipated that it was going to be what it is now. And having said that, most people I don't think anticipated just how hard Ukrainians were going to defend their country. You know, I don't think Putin anticipated how much Ukrainians were going to defend their country. So I'm very proud to be a Ukrainian, and that we have, you know, people that are literally, you know, risking everything to keep the sovereignty of this country alive. So I pray for the best, but at this point it's just so hard to know what's going to happen. Actually, I'll flip the camera here, guys, as I'm reading your comments. There's kind of like a little street fair that they're setting up for the evening. Oh, that's interesting. Jean-Pierre comments, my Brazilian friend just told me that Buzios is safe because the police can check the 2 or 3 entrances giving access to Buzios. Yeah, you know, it's interesting where when you're on a peninsula, you know, I guess people can't get in and out as easy. And even in these streets, you know, the police are usually actually waiting on like the exit points of the streets. So I guess in that way it is kind of easier to, you know, manage what goes on. And obviously, you know, if I'm being honest, it doesn't look like there is a lot of poverty here. Not saying that poverty obviously always equates with violence, but just saying that obviously it's super expensive for the average person to live here or go on vacation here. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why everything is fairly laid back. Just reading your comments here, guys. Oh, I mean, some people, yeah, have commented on this, talking about like what's going on in Russia as far as protesters, like literally babushkas, like literally senior citizens are being detained in Russia for protesting against a war. Like, that is when you know that you do not live in a democratic country, when protests against not being in a war are being shut down, when senior citizens are being arrested, when freedom of speech is being completely shut down, which is what is happening in Russia, where just this morning I was reading how basically all the independent news sources in Russia are being shut down. They're putting prison sentences on any form of their version of, what's the word? My vocabulary today is just going disinformation in the way that Moscow views it, are having like prison sentences or insanely steep fines. And it's just, it's Russia, but I think 10 times worse than it ever has been before, where people's voices are being suppressed. You can't speak out against what is happening in Ukraine. It's not even real what's happening in Ukraine. And it's very sad to see, you know, just how many people in Russia, I think, actually believe that. I don't know, you know, what the percentile is of how many people, you know, are against the war and how many are for the war. I would hope that the majority are against the war, even if they're a fan of Putin. I don't know who in their right mind would think that what is being done in Ukraine is acceptable. So it's a very sad time for Russia as well, and my heart really goes out to, you know, the people that are going to have to pay for, you know, the consequences of everything that Putin's regime has done. It's going to be the regular people who have to pay, you know, for the sanctions, and I have no idea, you know, what that's going to mean for them as well. So it's just a very sad time, and it's honestly still processing that, you know, this has really happened, because this is really like the point of no return. Like you can't take this back, you know. You can't rebuild what they've destroyed in this past week just like that. It's going to take a very long time for not only Ukraine to get back on its feet, but for relations between Ukraine and Russia to ever be okay. And I don't think that's ever going to be possible while Putin is still in power. So, Mary asks, how is your mom doing? This must be very hard having family there. Yeah, well, my mom's probably, you know, well, it's hard to say who's doing worse than the other person, but obviously she's been super upset. She's been super stressed out. This happened literally the day after she got back to Canada. Like, she was visiting me in Rio until the 22nd. She flew overnight and got in on the 23rd. Everything was fine, and then the next day, the 24th, we wake up that Kiev has been bombed, and that has been this past week. So obviously she's been extremely stressed out. You know, not only is family there, and we're so worried for them, but, you know, our home is there. Like, my family lives in kind of, you know, our family apartment. Of course, it's their, you know, home first, but that's where I grew up. That's where my mom spent, you know, a good, I guess, 15 years of her life. And it's just devastating to see what's happening there. Gonna read your comments while I flip the camera, guys. Yeah, Putin, to echo on the Equalizer's comment, Putin is finished now in the international community. He absolutely is. I mean, all you have to look at is, like, look at the countries who are supporting Ukraine and look at the countries, or dictators, I should say, that are supporting Putin. The apple doesn't fall, like, far from the tree of the people that are vocally supporting Putin. So as far as democratic societies, of course the US is not perfect. Let's not pretend that, you know, NATO countries are by any means heroes in this story either. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, you know, the quality of life and the freedoms that people have are much better in, you know, the NATO countries than the countries that are associated with, you know, well, Russia and anybody who supports Russia. I don't think there's any countries where the quality of life is good and that there's free speech and that are supporting Russia in what they're doing, I mean. Thank you for the super chat, Harriet and Jim, asking, do you think that oligarchs can have any influence on Putin? I mean, once again, I am not a political channel. I am not totally versed in all of these things, which is why, you know, when I am talking about this, it is just my personal opinion. It is by no means me arguing with how things absolutely are or what's going to influence what. Is just my opinion, and that's it. As far as the oligarchs, I get why they're doing it, and I hope it would begin to form, you know, certain kinds of cracks, because of course, you know, the rich people in Russia definitely influence different policies in the government, just as they do in America, just as they do in most countries. So I understand why they're doing that, and I hope it will be, you know, of value. I think that, yeah, all the high up people, especially in the political system in Russia should absolutely be sanctioned. Like all the ones that voted for the invasion should all absolutely be sanctioned and have all of their assets frozen abroad. But with the oligarchs, I don't know. I don't know, you know, what good it might do for the situation itself. Mason Gilligan says sick earrings. Thank you very much, Mason. These I actually bought here in right on these streets. These are made, I guess, handmade by indigenous tribes in the central part of Brazil, where there's this, I guess it's called golden grass or something grows, and they treat it with something that helps it kind of keep its shape, and then it's all formed into different kinds of jewelry. So these were absolutely gorgeous and is kind of like my little souvenir of Brazil, because I can't really buy things that take up a lot of space. So jewelry is always, you know, one of the easiest go-tos whenever I want to buy something to help me kind of remember a place. So this is one of my souvenirs from Brazil. See here. Interesting. I wonder, it's almost sunset time, so actually, yeah, let me take you guys to a view of the beach. Somebody mentioned, can we watch the sunset? Yes, we may. I just don't know if it's quite the time for it yet. And what's nice about Buzios is, while there are, you know, so many daily buses that go in between Buzios and Rio, there's also these really good transfers that I would, well, actually, the transfer that I got actually didn't go that great. It was supposed to take me right from my hotel, right to my hotel here, and it took a really roundabout way to do that. But usually there are door-to-door transfers where they pick you up in your hotel in Rio and then drop you off at your hotel here, and it doesn't cost that much more than the bus, so keep an eye out for those. Oh, it is windy. Can you guys hear all right, or is it like too windy? We can walk a little ways down, but I think it's way too windy. Ooh. I'll just give you guys a little view and then we'll go back. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Guys, let's go back. Everybody taking pictures. Somebody had asked, is it mainly like foreigners or is it locals here? And I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of tourists here from other Latin American countries, and then, you know, in both like Colombia and Brazil, for example, there's a very wide range in how people look. So it's very hard to know, you know, who's a tourist and who's a local just by the way they look, but just from hearing the language. And I think, you know, I'm properly differentiating between Spanish and Portuguese. Still definitely a majority of Brazilians, I would say. I mainly hear Portuguese on the streets, but there's definitely some Spanish as well, and then the very odd time there's some English. So that is that. And one last thing I want to touch on about the war. Don't want to, you know, constantly talk about this topic on this stream since I want to talk about Brazil as well, but I will just say, because a lot of people have asked, like, why is your family, you know, like there right now? Why didn't they try and leave? Well, first of all, even my family didn't think that it would be an invasion that would literally reach them in Kiev and Lviv, because my cousins did go to Lviv before it happened. They kind of went, I think, a week before the 24th, you know, just for safety and because they had flexibility with their work. But the reason my whole family hasn't gone is because martial law has been implemented in Ukraine and men 18 to 60 can't leave. So my the Nastya and my aunt, they don't really want to go by themselves to like Poland or Romania. So that's why everybody has decided to just stay together for now and hope for the best and, you know, help in any way they can. Like my uncle was doing kind of some, like, I don't know what the word is in English, but, you know, just like basically kind of like on the ground sort of like patrol and protection is what he was doing. But primarily what I think was really great that he's doing, because, you know, he's older, is he was actually helping everybody in the apartment building where we live. You know, lots of the younger men have all left and there's nobody to help the babushkas. There's nobody, you know, to help carry, you know, groceries for some of the older people or help with things around the house. And, you know, he was helping make the bunker in the apartment, you know, more livable for everybody. So I'm actually really proud of my uncle for staying and helping people on the ground, because if all the men just leave all the women in Ukraine and, you know, can't help, especially the senior citizens and stuff, you know, that doesn't help anybody either. So in a way, I think we got to have some men stay behind and just, you know, help with the regular day-to-day survival kind of stuff. So that's why my family hasn't like evacuated, which is one of the questions that I get a lot. Well, I'm going to be blocking one person. Just seeing now that there's somebody who is posting a lot of misinformation. So that person is gone. I'm all for having different opinions, but things that are like straight off obvious disinformation, that will be blocked. All right, guys, it is starting to get closer to 6 o'clock. More people are coming back from the beach. So slowly but surely, all of these outdoor patios will begin to fill up. I'm on the fence. Do I want to get some gelato right now? This is the place, guys. This is the place that I was saying was really good for gelato. But to be honest, I'm actually ready for actual food. So I don't want to ruin my appetite with ice cream right now. Wow, I'm a true adult. Just want to say thank you to Harriet and Jim for the other super chat. I assume it is in Portuguese. I cannot read it or understand it, but thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, like, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll be totally honest with you, where I thought that, you know, in my first couple of weeks of coming here to Brazil, I would learn some Portuguese. Hasn't happened because, first of all, you know, my mom got here and I put, you know, all my time and attention in, you know, spending time together, and then also trying to create, you know, content and do my work stuff. So that was that period. And then literally after she leaves and I also moved to a new place, the war happened. So learning Portuguese hasn't exactly been on my highest of priorities, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm just, you know, trying to create the best content I can under the circumstances, and the rest of my free time has kind of gone to just like checking in on my family, taking care of my own mental health. So I'm just gliding with Google Translate for the time being, because it works, you know, to get by. And unfortunately, I'm probably not going to learn that much Portuguese on this trip, because I'm only going to be here, you know, for another month and a half. But then I will be going to Mexico, so, you know, Spanish, to be honest, is much more of a priority for me, because I feel like I would use that, you know, in many other travels going forward. So as much as I, you know, would love to be a better traveler and learn, you know, quite a bit of every language of the places I visit, I just know that under these circumstances and in the mental health that I'm in, where a lot of days, like, I don't even feel, you know, like doing my work, trying to force myself to also learn Portuguese, and only having, you know, a month left here, so I don't really see much point in it. So I'm gonna learn, you know, just the basic words, and that's gonna be enough for me, and grateful for Google Translate. Oh my gosh. Rahul, thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity and for your support in this time. Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely tour of Buzios. Truly brightened up my day. Thinking of you and your family during this difficult time. I sincerely hope that this senseless war ends and peace prevails. Thank you very much, Rahul. And that is definitely the word that I would use as well, of just completely senseless. Like, there's no winners in this. The damage and deaths that will come from it on both sides, because, like, that's the other factor. Like, of course Ukraine has lost, just, it's horrible that, you know, especially, you know, the civilians that they have lost in this time period. It is just horrifying and unacceptable. But also Russia has lost, from the Ukrainian stats, I think up to 10,000 soldiers now. So Putin literally killing his own people by making this decision. It's disgusting. So thank you very much, Rahul. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for the super chat. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for coming out. Big thank you to Jim Ross. Please hit the like button. Help support this fine content. I really enjoy these walks and talks. Thank you, Jim. Please like and subscribe, friends, for more live streams, and definitely much more Brazilian content. Like, even though, you know, I am only going to be here for another month and a half, like I said, I will be putting out quite a bit of content, I think, on Brazil. Like, I've already, you know, put out 2 or 3 videos. I have 3 videos in the bank, you know, that I still have to edit and put out. And then from the places that I'm going to visit, probably at least 6 more videos. So I'm going to be putting out a whole bunch of content on Brazil, you know, while I'm here. So stay tuned for that. And one thing that just came to mind, a few Brazilians mentioned this to me, is that there are regions in the country where I guess there are a lot of Ukrainian immigrants. Prudentopolis is one of them as a city, and I am definitely going to try and go there and see if I can, you know, meet some people who have recently immigrated. Hopefully my Ukrainian will, you know, be all right to be able to communicate with them and understand them. And I think that would be a very interesting video to do, especially in these times, is, you know, just get their insight, because a lot of people have asked, like, what's been the Brazilian reaction to everything that has happened. And because I was like, you know, I've been in beach towns while this has all been happening, it's, you know, it's not at all something that you would know is going on. Like, it's Carnival right now, people are just partying, but at the same time, I don't know what people are saying, so maybe people are talking about the war. But as far as like demonstrations or it being all over the news here, I haven't really seen that maybe in Rio and Sao Paulo, and especially probably like Prudentopolis, where, you know, there is the Ukrainian community, maybe there have been certain kinds of demonstrations, but here in beach towns during Carnival, there really hasn't been any sort of like protests going on here. So that is that. Let me flip the camera here. So I'm gonna take you guys down one of these side streets to the other main street of the Stone Street, but I think in about 10 minutes here, guys, I probably will end the stream, just because I don't have a lot of data left on this SIM card, and it has to last me until the 16th, because Lord knows I don't want to have to go into their offices and not be able to get my card filled up. So I'm gonna end it in the next 10 minutes or so. So if you guys have any other questions you want to ask me, now is the time. Oh, I missed a couple super chats. Want to say a big thank you to View from Lookout. Thank you for the tour around Buzios and the other places you have taken us on your journeys. Hope you and your family are safe. Thank you very much, View from Lookout. It is my pleasure. Michael, thank you very much. I love all your videos. My favorites were last year in Bulgaria and the Balkans. Thank you, Michael. Great times. Yeah. Doesn't that feel like so long ago? Like, honestly, the last... Well, especially since I started traveling full time, it's such a weird sense of time where in some ways it feels like so much has happened and it happened so quickly. But then in another way, I feel like, oh, like me being in the Balkans, that feels like it was years ago or something like that. But it was just like, well, a year and a half ago, basically. So not that long ago. Very weird sense of time. Bulgaria feels like 20 years ago now. Yeah, exactly. Very strange. Somebody in the comments said that somebody who passed me said that Putin, what a nutcase. Interesting. Oh, that's good to hear. Marcio says, hey, it's all over the news in Brazil and most Brazilians are against the war and what's happening in Ukraine. That's good to know. Well, I mean, I would think most people are, right? Like even in Georgia, for example, Georgia's a good example that had like one of the biggest, I think, protests and demonstrations in support of Ukraine. And yet their government is still pro-Putin, from my understanding of like what was said. So, you know, there's a very big difference between what the government feels and believes and what the actual people in the country believe as well. So just because I guess sometimes a political leader of a certain country feels a certain way doesn't mean that the people there feel the same. So I would think that most people would be against the war in Ukraine, and yeah, I would think that most people here in Brazil would be against it. So a few people have messaged me about this, but I guess I just want to make it clear that my mom is not in Ukraine. Like, my mom is a Canadian citizen like me, and she's already back in Canada. So a lot of people were saying, is your mom safe and stuff? Yes, she is, which I'm grateful for. She is in Canada. She lives and works in Canada, so she is there right now. It's my uncle and his family that are in Ukraine right now. I'm gonna read your comments so I give you guys a view here. Oh, see, we even got a McDonald's here. But you know what's funny, actually? I don't think they had this in Colombia, or maybe I'm just forgetting, but I haven't seen this before, where they have McDonald's locations here that are just ice cream. just dessert. Very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that comment. Are there locations that just serve ice cream? Because usually, you know, there's like smaller to-go locations that have like just burgers or something, but I've never seen just ice cream. And yes, my dad also lives in Canada as well. He is Canadian. No, it totally is McDonald's, guys. Who's saying that this is a fake? I don't think it is. I'd be shocked if it was a fake. They would definitely be copying the copyright if it's a fake. Raya do Carioca Buzios. Got another burger place here. Yeah, it's not fake, guys. That's a real McDonald's. It's actually really cool that they have this shop. This is the place that I was saying has the Indian vegan vegetarian restaurant. It's actually on the top floor. But all this really cool stuff from like Nepal, India, Tibet, you know, spirituality kind of stuff. Haven't seen one of these kinds of stores in a really long time. Peace and love, guys. That's what we need right now. Putin should do a Buddhism class. I feel like everybody would benefit if he did that. I actually don't know what I want to eat tonight. What do I want to eat tonight? I've been kind of craving pizza, and there's actually a lot of Italian restaurants here in Buzios. A lot of Italian restaurants, or ice cream, Italian ice cream as well. I've been to this place. Has a really good patio that goes out onto the beach. But there's supposed to be another place kind of on the boardwalk that has like, you know, the proper Neapolitan like wood oven fired sort of pizza, so it's a bit more authentic. Oh, that wind. So maybe I'll go there. I don't know. Any locals or who has been here, what's a place that you absolutely have to go eat at here in Buzios? I've heard of the crepe place. I've seen that in everybody's reviews where the crepe place just down here is a must. I haven't done it yet. But any others, let me know in the comments. Esteban says, have you tried chocolate pizza? It's very common in Brazil. No. I don't even know what that would be. What do you mean chocolate pizza? Like, is it actually a chocolate crust, or is it dough with chocolate in it? I don't know what that means. But no, I haven't tried it. I will try and keep a lookout for it. This place I've heard is supposed to be really popular. Don Juan. Supposed to be quite expensive though, I think. Actually, yeah, so everybody had asked about pricing. So yeah, it depends which time of year you come here. Summer on a whole is going to be, you know, more expensive too because it is high season. But as far as prices for meals, guys, if you go to like very local places, sure, you could maybe get a meal for like $5 to $7 US, I would say. It's definitely still more expensive than Colombia by at least 30%, I would say. Like in Colombia, you could get a good meal for like $3 US if you went to a super local place. So it's definitely not that inexpensive, at least in the places that I've gone so far. But if you go to like, you know, these kinds of restaurants here with a drink and a meal, probably at least $20. In Ahayal, even you know, even though it didn't have as nice of restaurants that they have here, I was floored how expensive some places were. Like some restaurants, you couldn't get any kind of entree for less than $30 US. Like sure, it was seafood or steak, you know, something much more, you know, higher end, but still, like I was just shocked how expensive some of the restaurants were in Ahayal when, you know, it's not as ritzy of a place as Buzios. Here you kind of, you know, you kind of expect that, okay, like it's a super high-end kind of place, you're probably going to pay at least $30-40 a person. But if you're going to the more mid-range places, yeah, I'd say probably $15, you know, something like that. If you go for like lunch and you get like a non-alcoholic drink or something, that's approximately what you can expect. So yeah, it's honestly not, it's not cheap. That's what I'll say. It's not cheap here, unless you have a local who takes you to all the off the beaten track places that are away from, you know, this central part of the city. Yeah, you're gonna pay a bit. It just is what it is. Somebody's saying don't eat the sweet pizza, okay? Oh, there's a few people saying don't eat the sweet pizza. What do you mean? From my understanding now, I'm seeing people are saying it's like, yeah, it's a sweet pizza with like Nutella, banana, or strawberries. I mean, I wouldn't have it like as my meal, but as a dessert, I think it'd be fine. What's wrong with the sweet pizza, guys? Funny. All right, friends, I think I am going to end it off here. It has almost been an hour and a half, and like I said, I don't exactly have a lot of data for the rest of the time that I have this package, so I am going to sign off here. Thank you very much to everyone who came out today. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all the wonderful messages this past week. I'm not gonna, you know, lie and say, you know, everything's gonna be fine and, you know, everything's gonna be great. We honestly don't know at this point, but all I can say is that I'm gonna try my best to, you know, be as optimistic as I can considering the circumstances, support my family in any way I can, and, you know, I have already sent them quite a bit of money this past week. I've donated to a few charities. I thank all of you guys, you know, who said you donated in the charities that I had posted in the description of the video that I did about Ukraine. Thank you to everybody who has done that, and I think that's really all we can do, you know, at this point as people outside of Ukraine, where of course we can try and have our politicians try and put pressure on them to help Ukraine as much as possible, to have opportunities for refugees to, you know, come to our countries. I know Canada kind of has that in the works of trying to build some programs to allow Ukrainians to come to Canada much more easily, you know, standing against this tyranny as much as possible, being vocal about how we feel about the situation, and yeah, just supporting Ukrainians in any way we can. So thank you to everybody who has done that. I truly do appreciate it, and I will keep you guys updated with everything that's going on here in Brazil as well. It is an amazing country. I feel very blessed to be here right now, and I will have a new video out most likely on Monday, so stay tuned for that. Hope you guys have a great day and keep being your own kind of beautiful. Bye guys.